Hi, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our today's class, and we are going to have two sessions. The first session will be 30 minutes on ongoing course we are doing on advanced listening skill on account of communication skills. And after 30 minutes, we will be starting a new series about how to free from the pain body. It's more philosophical, spiritual, and more practical class it will be. So let's go into our today's first class. Uh, c- so, um, and before we go to today content, if you see on the screen, there are all previous classes and their titles we covered during last 16 weeks. And we are in week number 7 of this course. And specifically, we are studying the barrier between listener and the speaker. And we are arrive at the stage where we are going to learn styles of listeners or listening. And my name is Maratib Shad. I'm your host and facilitator. And we will be reading uh, from the books and some interpretation from my own understanding, and also question answer from our audience on Zoom and also on Facebook. And also we will try to do a couple of exercise so that we can apply the knowledge which we are learning in our practical life as well. The most of the content I have taken from the book, The Listening, the Forgotten Skill by Madelyn Allen. A wonderful book. Everyone should read it for improving the listening. And this session of 1 hour almost will be on account of um, our platform, which I am providing you from last couple of months, ongoing lifelong learning study circle. Uh, and you can join my YouTube channel. You can socialize with me on many social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also my blog website as well, where I write on personal development and spirituality as well. So let's start our today's types of listener we are. And remember, we are trying to remove the barrier between listener and the speaker. And and these topics which I cover, usually we are not taught in the school, in college, in universities, even in the training in a corporate sector when we go. We mostly learn about communication skills, but mainly communication means to how to speak well, how to read well, how to write well, but not how to listen well. So that's why I'm trying to fill that gap through in my life, and also uh, the people who think that it is the matter of attention. So the first type of listener which we come across, the faker. The faker who is pretend to be a listener, but actually he or she is not a listener. And although if you see me on the screen, that faker is sometimes listen to you like just trying to become a faker, a proper pretender, and years, of course, that person will make an impression that he or she is listening, and of course, this type of acting will not last longer, and immediately it will reflect on the talker. A talker will understand that that person is a fake, listener, and that will break off the communication process, whatever we are going to do. So that is the first type of fake um listener. So we will start to read it, and I would ask my colleague Jenny if she can start reading for today.
The faker. Some people fake attention. They pretend to listen when their minds are actually off on a flashing tangent. They may fake attention because they think they are pleasing the talker. Often, people who wish to be attentive have their eyes riveted on the talker. Their eyes appear to be wide open. They so exhaust themselves in playing the attentive role that they end up no longer listening at all.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great reading. So if you go into, and I want you to imagine that, have you ever watched a person with fake listening, by smiling and heading nod, when neither the smile nor the head nodding matches what the talker was saying about? Have you come across that type of listener? Or maybe I myself was once. Um, Anybody can, because, and it's very obvious because we don't have training to listen. And of course, when we have to listen, then we have to be become a very good actor or actresses. Uh, so we have to imagine, and imagination is more powerful than thoughts. And if we can imagine, or try, if you are selling something to your customer, try something, you are speaking with your colleague or boss, try to speak someone, you are talking with your children or your husband or wife, and then they as a listener were pretending to listen to you, and basically they are faker. That's the author is trying to tell us.
I
Um,
met I met my challenge for listening when after having a supervisor explain something to me, he asked me, "Are you listening to me?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Repeat back what I said." And I couldn't because I wasn't really listening.
of course, that's we mostly do. For example, when I'm selling something to my customer, and I'm very busy in other thing, and I know that there is a genuine complaint has arisen, and the customer start to saying, oh, blah 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 blah, and then I'm trying to pretend I'm listening as a business owner. But on the background, it's totally, I'm just pretending to listen. And that sometimes I feel very embarrassed within my eye, that why I did not give the quality time, empathy experience to that customer. And and the reason why I was doing, because I thought that I know what that customer is talking about. Oh, I know very well that that's crocodile tears that customer is doing, is trying to do. So that type of arrogance and carelessness made me faker, as a listener, as a seller, as a business owner, when she was trying to complaining about the product or service. That's happening with us. So, uh, and of course, the Cynthia is right. We all are struggling. If you see on the scenario, um, in a left side photo, if you see the that man is trying to be fake listener to that girl's emotion, that wife or friend trying to express herself, or may have expressed already, have talked already, and she's annoyed or she's upset. but that gentleman is trying to faking that something, but it's not genuine uh, thing, and that happens often. As a husband or wife, uh, we do fake listening as an actor. On the right hand side, if you see, that girl is so excited, and she's sharing excitement or some moments, or maybe in a good past memory or future dreams or something, or about a story. But that man on the right hand side trying to laugh, or trying to mock, mocking the talker, or something which is, of course, it's a sign of arrogance and egoic, or whatever. But the main thing is you try to imagine yourself that what the fake or pretending listener could be. That's the main point which I'm trying to say in different situation. And the author of this book also says in some portion that others try hard to fake being good listener by trying to memorize every fact given. Thus, the intent of the message become lost. So, of course, that is the end result. When you fake something, then you will lose the what is going to be happen. Um, However, they give the impression of listening with interest and curiosity. That's the human being have been so good actor. We all are actor and actresses. And actor, remember, actor and actresses, they act fake uh, uh, as a faker, and but pretending that they are doing a genuine acting. They are in a genuine thing, but actually we are not. So this needs to hear and digest everything being said can easily lead to an overloading and jamming of the communication network. So, of course, because the original message is lost um, because of many reasons. Now, if we can imagine again, imagine yourself when you were faker or saw another person as a fake listener. How did you respond? Can anyone share any story original? Like I shared my story when my customer was complaining and I was pretending to listen her. Um, but the end result I got that that customer left a negative review because I was not enough giving attention to that customer. And the end result was I was feeling embarrassed personally, that why I did not listen um, and act accordingly according to the situation or demand of the complaint. Or and then the end result, I did not fix the problem, that why our product and service had this fault on a service level, on a product level, or in some gap level where we did not communicate properly with the customer. So I did not fix it. So of course, that these are the end result of to become a fake listener. Anybody can share your own story, just a quick, or maybe you can share someone's story um, when it happened with you or with another.
Well, nowadays people get mad.
Mm.
Back in the day, I mean, I wasn't listening, and then I was challenged by asking to repeat what my supervisor said, and I couldn't. But I was much younger then, so that taught me how to become a better listener most of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And it can cost you your business by not listening.
Mm, mm. Yeah, absolutely. It is also because of our personal development work has not been done properly. So that is also one of the reason why we don't listen, or if we listen as a faker. Because in our society, when we see many people when they become a fake listener, uh, there seems to be a successful as well. And we try to copy them. But of course, that copy does not work all the time or most of the time. Maybe it may have worked one time when somebody in the customer service tried to become a fake listener, and nudging and smiling, or maybe showing little sadness with the tears of with other person, where the communication was happening. But it will not work 95%. And but we try to do, because our media does portray it like this as well. We try to deceive. We learn from media. We learn from each other. We learn from our institutions in our society. So, and that's why our relationship does not last longer, and we become fed up with everyone very quickly in few weeks, months, year. um, so that's another thing, but we're talking about here as a listener. So of course, so this fake aspect is the biggest uh, broken broken down of our communication. So that is the first type of listener, the faker. The second type of the listener is the dependent listener. The dependent listener, that listener who is always depend on other. This is a beautiful photo. I got it. That young leader, beautiful daughter, she's trying to get attention of her dad or granddad. But dad is look upset and busy in the phone. She's trying to show maybe her drawing, her creative work, um, and that person or dad is not giving attention at all. And that girl, that child will be dependent listener, that whatever she will listen will depend on the response of her dad. And dad may be look down upon that child, that she does not deserve to see her creative work, because that creative work is not a creative work for that dad. That maybe is just a lining or caricature, and a waste of ink or waste of colors for that dad. Many dad or many parent, they are very strict. They are uh, like a sabotaging the children's creativity, or any type of ordinary work. So maybe that. So what point is that child, that young girl, that leader will be a dependent listener. Now she is waiting to listen the dad, what the dad response is. The first response she has already received, the dad is ignoring her. Yeah. But now the next turn will be dad will speak or shout or scream, or say some bad word about her drawing or something. You know what I mean? So that dependent listener we are. Mostly these their listener feel victimization. They they are not confident in their future, and when they go in future, in later stages of their life, they are very fearful always, not confident, because they have a sense of victimization. Their training from their elders is not enough to make them a proper leader. So therefore, they collapse and they fail in professional life as well. Often, when they're talking with colleague, when they're talking with their boss, they often act like a dependent listener. They cannot talk straightforward by taking initiative. They have to follow the other person uh, talking, and then according to listen, because their dad has ignored already when she or he was the child. So that is a dependent listener. Um, and So let's try to read it, what the Madeline is saying. So I would ask Cynthia if she can start reading, please.
The defender listener, styles of listening. Some listeners are highly dependent, and live vicariously through the opinion, wishes, and feelings of others. Often their feelings are evoked in interpersonal communication situations, making it difficult for them to deal with abstract matters. So much concern is given to how they are listening and reacting to the talker that they miss out on what is actually being said. In their urgency to elicit a favorable impression from the talker, they focus on how they appear to others rather than on the clarity and content of what they are saying.
Yeah, that's right. In that story, if that see the picture, uh, that dad is not focusing or not giving attention or not clearing, have a clarity about this leader, what she's trying to say, what is the content of the message, what she's asking for, what she's passionate about, what she's expecting from. But because that dad does not have a clarity, and that does not want to be clear, therefore, that girl or that person will be a dependent listener. Let's read a quick story, and then we will be more clear what does it mean by by um, dependent listener. So I would ask Jenny if she can read this story.
Norman's father dominated his relationships when he was young. He often told Norman children should be seen and not heard. When Norman expressed an opinion on a subject, his father told him he was stupid and not old enough to know the right way to do things. In their interactions, Norman's father would often say, "You'd better listen to every word I'm saying, young man."
Hmm. So if you see from the picture, the many father or mother or guardians, they tend to sabotage the feelings of their children because of discrimination by their age, and that uh, may that reflect the very poor uh, training. And what happened as a result of this communication, Norma became a dependent listener. He put his effort into appearing to listen in order to please other. You see, he often felt confused and frustrated because he was not listened when he was child. He also felt like a doormat because he went along with other people's wishes at the expense of its own. Look at what the loss, big disaster in his life is happening now as a result of that poor parenting. He discovered he did not have many opinion of his own because he let other doing his talking for him. Actually, in his relationship with his co-workers, he was afraid to say no. They don't have courage to say no. This behavior pattern resulting in his feeling tense, unhappy, and victimized. That's how we listen, um, and we allow other people to control us, especially the children. It happens with many relationships as well, as a husband and wife when they are living under the same roof. Husband sometimes become a dependent listener because the wife is very dominant, and sometimes wife is a dependent listener, and when the husband is so much dominant. And in the children, in a family, the parents um, cause to create the feeling of victimization when the children uh, role is just as a dependent listener. Um, and of course, that is a communication barrier we all experience. And if you see that now that is a thinking point is, imagine in your personal life, I will imagine my personal life, you being a dependent listener. Mm, yeah, many times. You made another listener to depend on you. Yeah, of course, if somebody made me a dependent listener, so my reactive nature will make other person to sabotage, and I will take a revenge what happened to me, and that multiply. So that girl, when she is ignoring by her parent, um, and when she will grew up, so of course that girl, if she is in a relationship with a boy, or as a when she will act as a wife, or maybe act as a mother, so she will try to uh, restore that incident or that ignorance in her current time, and try to become the same person like a dad when she was ignored by dad, and now she is going to ignore her daughter or her son because she still have a revengeful, unresolved energy, in a form of pain, and that's how it is still exists until that girl has no pain body. That girl does not depend on the past, whatever she is at the moment. Then she will become a perfect leader if she is super good with her spouse, with her children in future. But we mostly are very poor, and we are not groomed people, and so we take revenge. We will become reactive because of our past bad experiences, whether with my husband, with my wife, with my girlfriend, with my boyfriend, with my children, with my coworker, with my employee, with my boss, with whether I'm in a parliament, whether I'm anywhere. So I will be uh, become a very dependent um, listener. So that's how it does work as well. And the same way, if you see that boy, that boy is clearly sabotage and having a violent response from the dad, and that will also reflect in when that boy will become elder, and then he will exercise the same thing with his son or his children or his wife or his co-worker. So that's multiply as it is. So there are two type of listener we learned today. The number one, the faker listener, and number two is the dependent listener. Now, because of the short of time, our time is finished. And the next week, on our first session, we will continue to read types of listener. The next type is the interrupter. It's very important and it's a long reading. I will bring it for you. The next listener is the self-conscious listener. That's a decent, maybe many people in my audience, they are self-conscious listeners. Uh, and then the last but not the least listener type, the intellectual or logical listener, uh, which does mean that it is a highly educated listener. And we will continue to read this thing. So that's it, my first session about types of listener. Now, anybody has a question before I go to my next session about the pain body?
I'd like to add something. I think, going back to the parents and the way they, I don't think parents a lot of times realize the impact that they have on their children because, like, even now, older, the, the way my mom and my dad would feel about me still impacts me to this day as an adult. So I think that we can either heal from the abuse of that if it was not a good situation like the one that you just showed with the dad and the kid, and that you can carry it on, or you can really find yourself and test those theories and break apart everything they told you. Like if they said things like, you're going to be nothing, you're never going to work out in this world or whatever, you can grow up and believe that. Or you can be like, I'm a great person and I'm going to find all of my attributes and my values and whatnot. And then you go out and you make it anyway. That's why you can have like two kids out of the same home, and one's this rock star doing great because they believe in themselves outside of their parents' abuse. And then the other kid just accepts it and it's like, well, I'm just a loser. So I'm just not going to do anything because my parents always told me I wouldn't and they were right. So, like habit one in the book of 7 habits, your response to everything, your surroundings, whatnot, can be detrimental or they can be a learning experience. So, I just kind of felt like saying that.
Absolutely.
I
It's a
think
great
that
thought. Yeah.
I think that there's two different worlds in grandparents, which can make a difference in the grandchildren. Listening to what comes out of the grandparents' mouth. A lot of us, like, I came from a family of 8 kids, and often my mother would say, either you're not listening, or she would say you're talking too much. But she had 8 kids, and she had to figure out each child's characteristics in life. But I see grandparents that have no patience with their grandchildren, and a lot of those sayings, but especially the one about being seen and not heard. And then you see grandparents that are just so different and overflowing with everything.
Yeah.
Grandparents definitely make a wonderful impact.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a wonderful. This session went, um, and I'm closing it, and we are going to start our second session. Thank you very much for this.